Welcome back to Bake the Podcast. Today we have the dynamic mother and daughter duo Lisa Palmer and Jess Mandel as they talk to us about business, their dynamic as a mother and daughter, which can get a little bit spicy. So let's get into our conversation with them. Okay, Lisa, so we said that you guys were from Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
Or Gqeberha.
Yes.
I don't know what to call it anymore, honestly. So it's
Gqeberha.
confusing. So when you started, you told us in class when I was doing my course that you just started in the back of your house.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. Why did you start teaching? What was the interest in Pilates? Because it was so many years ago and we didn't have the whole Pilates era.
Yes, it was the big, kind of fresh in South Africa then.
Yeah.
And I started as a client. So it was a very small little studio that I used to go to, which was owned by a friend of mine. And I was actually, I'd studied photography, so I come from an artistic background.
Yeah.
My dad was a photographer. And then, but I loved the creative side of photography. So I wasn't that good on the commercial side. So he would send me to do weddings and he did commercial industrial work and aerial photography and stuff like that. And but I loved the artistic side. Like I used to do figure studies. I was always interested back then, even then, of anatomy and the human form. And so that's what I used to like to photograph.
Nudes.
Really? Yeah. Did you do nude photography?
I did. Well,
Lisa, my word, really?
At Technicon, they called it it was your creative interpretation. So I used to do a lot of figure studies.
Okay.
But it would be nude.
I love the way you said that.
But figure studies. And
Lisa
like
was an OnlyFans content creator.
Like a sand dune or in a beautiful ruin.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I used to do like beautiful things like that. And some of my stuff was exhibited. And but then I was going through a divorce from Jess's dad, and I was a client of Pilates, and I just realized how much it helped me personally, mentally, and it gave me strength after a class. I just felt different, and I knew there was something to be said for that. And then my friend said to me, "Why don't you think about becoming an instructor?" And so I then started, I looked into it and I started taking, she started training me a little bit.
Okay.
And then so it progressed. And then I did a formal course. I brought them over, the instructor trainers over from Toronto. But then it was basically not even in my home. It was in like a garage.
Oh my gosh.
The studio. So it was literally, I gave it like stoop paint and put some mirrors up and bought 2 reformers and had like small little groups. And then it progressed.
And people often ask us about our origin story and specifically about like capital, like how do you get the capital to start a small business? And, you know, Lisa, like a lot of people went through a terrible divorce, as all divorces are, they're tragic.
Yeah.
And she had no money to her name, got a small payout that a lot of people would save for life and hold on to that money.
Yeah.
Lisa was so fearless with a 6-year-old child to take care of basically by herself. And she invested the money she got from that divorce in herself.
It was like enough for 2 reformers, so it was very minimal.
Yeah.
And to do your course.
Yes,
but most people would hold on to that money. You spent that
but
money.
I had faith, and I knew that I was a hard worker.
That's what I was going to say. You really believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think
just
that
innate.
I know that I'm a hard worker and I believe in myself and
I don't know if I would have had the bravery to do that.
Yeah,
Jess
it
has
is
often
very-
asked me, like, and even taking on the studio in Sea Point, like,
Don't you feel like it's because you studied business, Jess? You know too many
feel like
risks.
you see, and maybe I don't.
I feel like education, I love in education, but I do feel like because I studied business, I'm
Yes.
too aware of the risks,
And
the
Jess
game
is,
theory.
I'm too analytical, and I'm like, I want to know how many months runway I have
See, and I don't
before
do that.
I run out of cash
Yeah.
and what the risks are involved. And that makes me quite risk averse.
Yeah.
Whereas Lisa took a giant leap of faith with a 6-year-old small child
Even
to
the
look
ex-husband
after.
was like, "Oh, you'll never do it." So that made me even
Oh,
more.
you had that like fire
He like
in you.
laughed. He said, "Oh, you want to open a Pilates studio?" And he still laughed hysterically. I'll never forget. And I thought, okay,
I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
But you
exactly.
know what? You do have that fire in your belly. And I wonder if that's like grit, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something that people can learn or if it's just innate. And
Yeah.
also I do wonder if it's generational because my parents similarly
yes,
are very like, oh, I have an idea, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And like if I talk to my dad's like a successful businessman.
Yes.
If I talk to my son, he's like, you're doing too much talking, you're not doing anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, but I need to project my earnings.
Yes.
Like I'll project everything and run it back
Yeah.
and work on like we're similar in that way
Yeah.
because I think it's
Yes.
because of your studying at UCT, you end up learning how to run a business from like the worst case scenario down.
Totally.
Whereas you telling me a
Yes.
different story, like, I had an idea, I felt like it
know.
might work. I just threw all my money into it and I had
Exactly.
absolutely nothing left. And it worked out.
Yeah.
No business plan,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And yet she had this like fire and
actually,
deep
that money
resilience.
didn't even cover the courses that I did because I hosted them. So I brought them out from Canada. And then I got like 12 people in to sign up, and that covered me doing the course because I made a profit.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of that, I suppose, that feeling of needing to be independent comes from my upbringing, because I didn't come, like, my mother was a single mother and she battled financially. So I remember, and Jess always rolls her eyes, but I say my mother used to get groceries at the end of the month when she got paid on the 24th. And then she'd buy groceries, and I remember the cheese she used to buy. And then when that cheese was gone, it was gone.
It's
I'd
done,
open the fridge, there was no food.
Yeah.
So I remember that. I remember having secondhand clothing, and she used to make clothing for us as well. So I really did grow up like kind of battling with her battling financially, and me then thinking I want to be able to give Jess a better life.
That's really interesting from a, I know I never said I would ask you this, but I'd love to know, because you grew up with, humble beginnings.
Yes.
And then you gave your daughter sort of this life that you didn't get. She
Yes.
could choose where she wanted to study and open a business.
Even though she got a scholarship,
Yeah,
remember?
she did.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
How did you make Jess hardworking? Because my fear is I give my children everything, and then what if they just can't?
Yes.
I'm hardworking because my parents are really hard on me.
Yes.
But what did you do? What was your methodology to get Jess to work hard for a scholarship?
There was no particular methodology. I was very lucky, but I think that she also, with me going through the divorce from her father, and she not really doesn't have a relationship with him now, I think that she also wanted to be fiercely being able to
Independent.
get that scholarship so that she didn't have to rely on him for university.
Yeah.
And I think that also gave her that kind of feeling of needing to be a hard worker. And
I think children learn from watching.
Yes, I'm
And
just
as
realizing
you
that.
said, from when I was 6 years old, I would watch my mom wake up at about 5 a.m., go and teach privates before
in
I
my
started
lounge.
school.
Then I had a little lounge. So I started taking over the house. So I was in the lounge, in my slippers. My client would come in her slippers, but Jess would still be
I can
sleeping.
imagine Jess being like eating her wheat bix there while you're like, and
Absolutely.
3.
Yes, exactly.
And I was listening to it,
Yes.
and then she would have a break to take me to school, go straight back to work. She would have a break to fetch me from school, go straight back to work. And so I watched this extreme work ethic, and yet I never felt abandoned as a child. She was there whenever I needed her. She was an extremely present, loving, nurturing mother, but she had to work.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I respected that so much. And although I didn't have the struggles she had, we also weren't, there was nothing of excess ever in life. I didn't want for anything, but there was nothing of excess. And
You never wanted for food like I did.
definitely
Yeah.
not.
Because I overcompensated with that. So I
was a
always
very
made sure that
chubby
she had,
child. She
she had, that she
overfed
had
me.
nice, the fridge was stocked.
Snacks.
It was like a psychological
Yeah.
thing for me because I never had that.
My parents were also,
So
they grew up
interesting.
poor, and we always, like
Yeah.
our friends,
Even
I went
if
to a private
did,
school.
did away with other things.
Yeah.
Food was...
I went to a private school, and my friends used to want to come to our house after school, like
Yeah.
Focus and I, because we had the best snacks. Allegedly, we were like, "This is
Yes.
so normal. We just have these
Yes.
snacks," and they would be like, "If you go to their house, there's a
Yes.
massive snack cupboard," and it
Yeah.
came from the poverty in them, where they were like,
Yes.
"My kids will never look for a snack.
Exactly.
There'll be a Kit
One-
Kat in the cupboard." at
And her
any
lunch
point.
boxes were the best and all of that.
Yeah,
because
that's
I
so
never had
true.
that.
Were you ever embarrassed that you had a nice lunchbox?
No, I was so grateful.
Okay, that's good. Jess is such a good kid.
Remember, even your teachers wanted to eat your lunchbox.
I know. My teachers used to try and steal my lunch, especially when I was in preschool. There was one teacher.
She
in
left her
particular.
sandwiches and then they'd say, "Can I have your sandwich?"
Oh
They
my
Because
said,
it had
gosh.
like beautiful veg on it, and it was always Lisa put so
Chicken
much
mayo.
effort.
I can imagine Lisa doing a chicken mayo.
Yeah,
It's
she
a
put
cultural-
effort into
Yeah.
everything, and I remember being so grateful as a child because I think I had the experience of one parent who wasn't present
Okay.
and didn't make that effort, and so there was this extreme difference in my life of like having a parent who plows so much love and care and effort and time into you, and then the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So I always just like looked at Lisa with awe,
And you were like, "I love my sandwich."
I was always very
I was
grateful.
embarrassed in my lunchbox.
Were you?
Yeah, because everyone would like like stand over me and be like, what do you have? What do you have?
Yeah.
And my sister was always really proud because she's the good kid in the family.
Interesting,
I'm the middle
yes.
child, like a rebel.
Yes.
So I would be like, oh, it's nothing. Like, who wants to swap with me? I hate chicken mayo. And then they'd be like, yo, that's like a tramezzini. And I'm like, oh, it's the worst. I'll have peanut butter and jam. Who wants to give me one? Like to make friends, I could swap my lunch.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you're like such a grateful kid, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like you have more of a sister relationship. Is that now or was it always like
always
this?
kind of been, well, except when she went through her puberty years. I wouldn't say, then it was, I was like the mother, she was my child. But some of those, that when she went into puberty, then there were some tricky times when she was like premenstrual and all that.
And you had to be a mom.
And then we would like argue, and then she would just give me these death stares. So that was a tricky period.
Can't you
between
imagine
us.
this?
Although we are like sisters, Lisa was always very good with discipline.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I
was
always
strict.
remember having boundaries, structure, and I really thrive off that. Like
So that
now,
maybe did come later, being more like sisters.
as an adult, I love routine and I crave routine.
She always had a bedtime. I was very specific.
Yeah, again, it's because I spent like after the divorce, I did spend a lot of time at my dad's house and there was like no routine.
So you had to
no
add the structure in your house.
It was chaos and I remember it induced a lot of anxiety in me.
Yeah.
And when I think back to my childhood, those are the periods where I feel like it wasn't right for me.
Yes.
And then I would go to my mom's house and there would be like the sense of peace and calm because of the structure and the routine. And she knew innately that that's what I needed.
Yeah.
I'm just like that as a person. And now as an adult, I create that routine and structure for myself.
That's so interesting, Jess, because I obviously don't know you intimately, but I see Lisa as quite like the free-spirited varieties
Yes.
of spice of my life kind of
Yes.
person. I don't imagine you to be very structured not in your work life, but in your
Yes.
personal. I can imagine you being like, just,
no, I am very much
you must
like
be
that.
like a jewel, you know.
No,
It's like
you
spontaneous.
hit the nail on the head, Aisha. You really have.
Because I always say to my sister, I'm
Sometimes
like,
Jess rolls her eyes at me, like I'll be like, okay, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this, I'm going. I'm a lot more spontaneous.
yes,
I think.
I always say this to my sister. I'm like, Lisa reminds me of myself because I'm
Yes.
variety is the spice of my life. Like I need to.
I've
Like
got that
sometimes
naughty streak. I've got a bit of a
I can
rebellious
see
streak.
it.
And Jess
we like
sometimes
might forget that you're teaching today. Like that kind of. And Jess
Yes.
doesn't. Jess is very like more like my sister's very
Yes,
like you.
definitely.
Like she knows her schedule on Sunday already. This
Yes.
is what this week's gonna
I'm
look
not
like.
like that. No.
Yeah, which is
But-
interesting that you were able to create a structured life with
Yes.
Jess.
She knew what I needed as a child, I think, and she adapted her parenting style
Yeah.
to me as
Yeah.
the child.
And also because I never had that when I was growing up, so I knew that I wanted to give that to Jess.
Yes.
I was at boarding school and all of that, and I'd be like the last person at boarding school to be picked up. And shame, Jess also rolls her eyes when I tell that story. So I always made sure that I was there to pick her up. She would
Yes.
never wait. I
We have a
remember that
similar
feeling
life
of abandonment,
story.
waiting
I've-
at school, and I was the
I'm
last
like
person.
that as well. I have
Yeah.
a very similar story. My parents,
Yeah.
I love my parents. They did the best that
Yeah,
they could.
but
I
they
will
were
just say
working
that.
as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were running their businesses and
Yeah.
they'd get busy and forget to fetch me.
Yes.
And I'd be there at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
My brother and I
me
shared
too,
this like
Aisha.
struggle song where we're like, we didn't know if mom was coming. We did like have a
Yeah.
jacket in case and like
Yes.
we learned to pack extra lunch in case like she
Yeah.
wasn't going to come on time.
Yeah.
And so I'm also very structured with my kids and I'm not
Yes.
structured.
Yes.
And I even told my son's aftercare teacher, like we got an extramural wrong.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm really sorry about this. Like I've mixed up the schedule. And she's like, no, he knows his schedule. I'm like, no, he's very structured. Like you can
Yes.
trust whatever he says he's doing today.
Yes.
He's doing
right.
that.
Like Jess, yeah.
I'm the one that's a little bit all over
So
the
you
place.
see, we're very similar
Yes,
in that way.
in that way. And I'd love to know, how do you work to get... So you started your Pilates studio. Jess
Yeah.
went to school, into UCT, right? And then you were not a Pilates instructor when you were a student, no.
No,
You were just
I-
vibing.
I did my I did my course while I was waiting to start UCT.
Okay.
So I just thought this is something extra I'm going to add to my CV.
Or weren't you in first year?
No, I was just before I started first year.
Okay, yes.
I love
December.
that Lisa doesn't know. She's like, wait.
Yeah, okay, so it was
The
before.
December of 2015.
And it was still in my apartment. We
Okay.
didn't even have a studio then, so I was teaching a small group of people in my flat.
Okay.
In Sea Point, yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is like a nice extra thing to do before I go into university. And I was already waitressing and
Okay.
I always had jobs.
yeah, you always
from when I
worked.
was like 15. I waitressed at a bakery, and I knew I would waitress throughout my degree. I needed to like earn pocket money besides the scholarship. And I thought that teaching Pilates would be another great way to earn
Extra
money on
money.
the side.
Yeah.
So she did the course, and then she started taking the odd class.
Okay.
And then she started university, but then she started getting more and more involved. So she would say, why are you still doing this? It's archaic. Why are you doing this? So she started basically interfering.
So when you got involved with the business, did you have a vision, or were you just feeling like you could contribute?
No, there were, I would say, concerns I had and like easy ways to optimize them. So at first there were only cash payments happening.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no, Yoko and SnapScan, and I'd like get her set up with that. And then I wouldn't think much more of it. You
Or
know, so I would-
EFTs.
You didn't even take EFTs, Lisa?
No, we did EFTs.
Oh, okay.
But I
EFTs
mean,
or
still.
cash?
Oh, you're taking checks also?
No. But back in PE days, yes, we took checks.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
So I would identify something that I thought wasn't like optimized about the business, and then I would present like a solution.
But it was my idea to get the booking app Mind Body, and you were still not so sure about it. And so weren't you
So
impressed
how
with
were
me
you
about
taking
that?
bookings initially?
Manually. So we just
On the
do
phone?
Yeah, just like how was I doing it initially? I think
No, so
how was I doing the
she
booking?
started the business in Cape Town when I was in second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we never took bookings, anything.
I think it was straight away Mind Body. Yeah.
We started the app before we opened the studio.
Okay.
So immediately it was online
So in
bookings.
PE, you had your regulars who just would show up?
Yes, PE.
Okay.
It was telephone bookings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
And
wow.
text.
and email and text.
Okay.
But here we started Mind Body.
So what happened if someone booked a class and didn't show up? If they emailed you and booked a class?
That was a problem. But they would normally buy
okay.
packages.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we would have our cancellation
So would you then
policy.
minus one?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's
yes.
good.
But Lisa had to manually facilitate that process. So when you bought a package of 10, she would print out a piece of paper with like 10 blocks and then like tick it off.
And all the clients had I think I may still have that box of, so it would be A to Z, and the clients would all have their little histories in there.
File.
Like
this
a
is the
concertina file.
injury. Yes, it's a concertina file. This is their injury. This is what she, inflexible joints or whatever, or needs spinal mobility, right rotator cuff injury. So I'd have them all filed like that.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a proper normal,
With a package purchase history.
Yes.
So Jess took you completely online.
No, it was my idea to get Mind Body.
You wanted to be online, but you needed someone to facilitate.
I did the background for
Okay.
Mind Body, and then Jess kind of, and then...
Then she
No,
came
I
on.
set up the entire schedule. All the back end
Okay,
of
here
Mind
we're going
Body.
to beg
Here we
to
go.
differ. I
Right,
thought I did
family
the
court.
entire thing, but anyway.
No, I did set it up,
But she certainly took over the social media side, because
Okay.
at that stage I was still posting about my animals and my
I know
cat
you love
and my
your
dog.
dogs, your
yeah,
farting
and then
dogs.
she was like, okay, please don't post anything moving forward now. We've got to get, it's only business stuff.
Okay.
So then I had to stop.
So you streamlined, you basically reinvented the brand, would you say?
I would say the big shift in brand happened in 2019. Before 2019, you wouldn't have recognized the Movement Lab as it is today because it was red and black, the colors.
Oh.
So from
And the
2017,
logo was like a
Muscle.
swirl. Like a swirl.
Really? I can't
we'll
imagine
send
that.
photos so that we can
Oh my gosh,
insert
please
them
can we
here,
show
maybe.
pictures of this?
You will not believe the branding prior to 2019.
Don't mock it. It
no,
was-
no,
it got
worked.
me-
Yes, it got you that
got-
far.
yes.
Very far.
Got you to Cape Town.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So from when we started in 2017 in Cape Town until 2019, we had this red and black branding, and everything was red and black.
But to be
And
honest, Jess, that was very fitness. Like the
Yes.
industry
Yeah,
was red and
very
black.
much so, absolutely.
Virgin
and
Active and all
fitness
that.
was male dominated.
Yeah.
And so the colors were more geared towards men and gyms, inside gyms. The aesthetic of
Harder
gyms
colours.
were more set up for marketing towards men. And then in 2019, we knew that we needed to rebrand. We needed like a fresher look, a younger look. We also needed our studio to represent our brand, because we didn't, when we opened, have money to brand the studio. It was just white walls and some machinery. There was nothing special about the studio space. It was clean and it was, nice, but it wasn't a branded studio.
Yeah.
So in 2019, we worked with Jana and Koos, who are incredible branding experts, and they saw our vision and really helped us come up with the brand concept. They pitched the pink and green idea.
Okay.
So it
But that was
came-
trending in 2019 as well. So it
Yeah.
was a good,
Yes.
a nice alignment. The pink and green was happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that the pink and green also like marries our different styles. Lisa has more of like the green side.
It's Alphaba and Glenda
Yes.
vibes.
Pink.
Totally,
Yeah.
I'm more pink, and it just worked so well because whenever we needed to use, like for the more education side, I used a lot of green.
Okay.
When I used, for more like fun themed classes, there was more pink. It just worked so well for us, and people really resonated with the rebrand. And I would say that our trajectory of growth, the catalyst for that kind of exponential growth that we experienced was the rebrand.
Okay.
So most people, when they think about the Movement Lab, they think about us kind of from 2019 onwards.
The pink, yes.
Even though we did start in 2017, and a lot of our hard work, blood, sweat, and tears happened from 2017 to 2019, I would say the catalyst for growth was that rebrand.
Yeah, and it was the right timing, I think, as well,
Yes,
to go there and start branding things, spending money on your studio, look and feel.
Yeah.
So you already had your equipment.
Exactly.
And you were running the courses by then, right?
Yes, I started even before. When I first started in Cape Town, I couldn't find a studio space. So
Okay.
I think I was here for a year prior to me. So I used to travel to different places. Merithue used to send me to different places to teach. So I used to go to, I went to Dubai a couple of times, Saudi Arabia even once. Not Saudi Arabia, sorry. Was it Saudi
South Korea.
South Korea as well.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi I went to. And then South Korea many times.
Yeah.
And I'd go for like a month at a time. So that was tough, but it was my earning capacity then.
Yeah.
And then eventually when I found the studio here, it was a big relief, and I carried on then teaching courses from that studio. Prior to that, I used to rent out other studios and host my courses
To host
there.
your courses. And would
Yeah.
you say like the cash flow of the business, you're running the business on the courses or on the classes? And is it always
Initially, it was very much the courses back
Okay.
then when
Yeah.
I moved to Cape Town because I didn't have any clients. So initially, it was very much
it injected more money in to
Yes,
teach
we
than
needed that
or
for
to
my
instruct.
rental.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's like your baseline, and then you could build the brand
Yes,
with
exactly.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at our
it's-
greater business, it's 70% the group classes and
Yeah.
30% instructor training.
Going from, so one of my friends taught me this. She said you could go from operator to owner. So with Pilates, I think it's very interesting because
Yes.
you're owning your business, but you're also teaching.
Yes.
What is that like? Because you're dealing with the admin side of things, but the teaching requires a different energy. You have
Yes.
to be like on it and vibey and
Upbeat.
interesting. And
it can be very tiring, I will be honest. But I also think that it's very important that one is able to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that for any Pilates studio owner, it is imperative that you do the course, and that I think it's very, very beneficial if you can teach every class that you're offering on the schedule
100%,
at
I
least.
agree.
Or quality control.
For quality control, and if not teaching it, like I don't teach cardio sculpt, but popping into classes, you have to be able to see what everyone is teaching. And it just keeps your finger on the pulse if you're able to be in that aspect of the business as well as the background.
yeah.
Definitely.
And there are many Pilates studios who are owned and run by people who are not instructors.
Yeah.
And there are pros to that method as well, because you then look at it from a more client-centric approach, because you approach your business first as a client rather than an instructor. We look at our business from the instructor perspective because we are instructors first before we are clients. So we optimize for our instructors, and that's why we are so focused on our instructors, ensuring that
And we
our
have client
team,
instructor retention.
Yes.
You know?
and ensuring that our team is the best possible team we can have, and the quality control is so important. And it also helps when a client comes and gives you feedback about an instructor,
Okay.
that you know exactly how a class should be done and what should be happening, and you have such a clear vision of a class structure that when a client gives feedback, you're able to pass out and ascertain whether the feedback is maybe just their personal preference and not a symptom of a greater issue.
Okay.
Or if it's really an underlying issue and something that needs to be dealt with the instructor. And our team and optimizing our team has probably been one of the hardest part of our businesses, but it's also led to the success of the business because we have such a strong team.
Yeah.
And I am genuinely excited when I get the time to join any of our instructors' classes. Like it makes my day.
I think that's for me as a client of the Movement Lab. That's what I love about, you know, obviously I prefer your classes and Lisa's classes because that's where I was introduced to the brand.
Yeah.
It's like you guys were mostly teaching.
Yes.
So I have a preference, but I have noticed that if I pop into anything else, I'm getting the same vibe. And then I'm
Yes.
always like shocked.
Yes.
Like I'll be like, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed that. Like I get
Good.
shocked because
That's good to know.
I almost don't expect it because I'm so
Yeah.
biased. I don't expect it to be good. And As a client, you often want to talk to the owner, you know,
Yes.
like even in a cafe business, people prefer to speak to the owner. They don't want to talk to anyone else. And then what I liked about that is I noticed that, you know, actually I'm getting the same experience. I just have my own biases because I like someone's voice. So I like going to Jess's bar class because I like her voice and her energy.
Yes.
And I'm not losing out if I go to a different instructor.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's good to,
and
that's good
how
to
are
know.
you ever going to grow a service-based business if people only want to come to you?
Yeah.
We can only teach so much. And the truth is that when I started giving up some slots and teaching a bit less, the slots that I do teach improved.
Okay.
Because I've got more time to plan them. I put more effort into them. And I absolutely love every second of the class, and I'm not burnt out during the class. So a huge catalyst for growth for me personally was actually when I scaled back my number of teaching hours, and it was a catalyst of growth for the studio.
business as well.
We never would have been able to open more locations, to launch retail products, to do other things if we were just teaching 24/7. We have to have time for strategy.
You have to be careful of burnout, especially
Yeah.
dealing with so many people in a class and in a day, you know?
And strategy is so important, and it takes up a lot of time, and you've got to have time to breathe and be creative in order for your strategy to actually come alive.
To land, I want to pivot a little bit into more Pilates-based stuff. So one of the questions we got from our followers was that you guys obviously seem to have grown the business organically, and then you scaled your business as well. And they wanted to know, did you have an inkling, and I feel like I know the answer to this, but did you have an inkling that that Pilates as an era or like a trend would take off the way it has now? Because I think Pilates in the last 3 years was probably the most popular form of exercise. And then last year was insane. I mean, it went into fashion. We were wearing ballet pumps again. So did you think this was going to happen? Or?
I did think so, to be honest. I really did. And I think that it's just up and coming. You know, it's a form of movement that encourages three-dimensional movements. It encourages movement every day. I do think any kind of exercise is incredible. You know, you're going to get those benefits. But Pilates, you know, it's a set series of exercises which was devised by Joseph Pilates and started out for dancers and also for rehabilitation. And I think because of that, it's just it's definitely on the up.
I know a lot of my followers know that I've done the Pilates course.
Yes.
And please don't shout me, but I'm not going to take the exam. It's too stressful for me.
Okay. You know you would be fine, but
I don't want to be tested in life. I hate exams. This is why I hated studying.
Yeah.
Like when I graduated, I got 50% on the dot. That's how I passed my degree. And I went like this.
Yeah.
And even my dad was like, it's so embarrassing. People are getting distinctions and you shouting 50%. I was like, I made it.
You made it and you graduated. That's the most important thing.
I don't think the Pilates course, honestly, I don't think it's hard. I think it's easily accessible. And if I was more...
And you enjoyed it. You learned something when you did it. That's the most important thing.
It's just that I don't think I want to be an instructor. I don't think I have the space in my life to instruct. But I think it's a nice business for women, and because my brand is women-centric, I always speak for women. I think it's a nice business for women to get into, especially mothers, because it's a stunning side hustle. Yes, you can pick up your kids, you can be present at school events and PTA and whatever you want to do, and you can earn a living.
Yes.
And it's not too expensive. You can start teaching immediately, which I love. You don't have to take
and
the
you can do it from home.
You can do it from home. You can do it online. I've seen really cool like American or Canadian influencers doing YouTube channels where they teach online and you can subscribe.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to start a business. But where does one start if you have never done Pilates before? That's a question that I always get. Is like people are nervous. They don't want to do a course and they've never done.
I would definitely start by doing classes.
Yeah.
Whether it's online, whatever's accessible to you, because sometimes there's also the financial cost to take into account when you're going to a studio.
Yeah.
But there are online options, but starting to move in your own body and doing the repertoire.
Yeah.
To see then if you like that. If you enjoy that and you want to learn more, I would say then maybe think about enrolling in a course. But definitely a prerequisite would be to actually do it in your own body and to take some classes if possible.
Yeah. And then would you say between Reformer Pilates and Mat Pilates, obviously just doing the Pilates on the mat with little to no equipment.
Yeah.
And then reformer is obviously the big reformer.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer if money wasn't an issue?
Yes.
What is your favorite?
I'm more mat based.
Okay, Jess?
Me too, completely.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised.
It's easily accessible. It's tough. You use your own body. I think that when you're doing mat, you can easily get more of a 3-dimensional workout, working all planes, your back muscles, your sides, your abs, arms, than it is to do on the reformer.
I find mat a lot more creative than reformer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Often I find the reformer machine hinders my creative flow rather than adds to it. And on the mat, I feel so free, where I can really build these more three-dimensional
Well, yours are not 3-dimensional. Hers are about 12-dimensional.
I know.
You know what I'm talking
We actually take
about.
like levitating in class.
Yeah, exactly.
When I see Jess bring out a chair, I'm like, oh God.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go
Love
flying.
that. And you know what? Like those classes, my classes, are not for everyone.
Yeah.
And that is okay. That's why we have such an incredible team of instructors, because you will find someone who is right for you. But I am so passionate about the 3-dimensional type of movement and the creative flows and the choreography. And I know that it will resonate with certain people, and the people it does resonate with who will absolutely love it. And if you don't resonate, that is 100% okay. If you want a more linear, structured approach, there are classes at the Movement Lab for you. So don't watch my videos and think, oh my word, I can't
Everyone
do that.
watches like videos in the comments. I guess like I would die. Like I wouldn't be able to cope. Sometimes I honestly feel like, why did I do this class? Because I'm like literally flying off a chair. I'm like trying to balance my body weight.
Yeah, the next thing she's going to say, just now levitate.
Or we get a dowel out and I'm like, I'm going to hit someone in the face. And Lisa, you more traditional. Your classes are...
Yes, I always bring in I at least try to bring in the traditional, the repertoire, because I believe that, I think that, especially if you're booking into a mat class.
And if you're not coordinated, I think it's nice.
And I believe it's important. You know, if people are signing up for that, you need to bring in the traditional repertoire, at least some of it.
I agree. And I also find that with when I go to your classes, it's less... It's very intense, actually. It's like very burny workout, but it's less having to like coordinate yourself. So if you're not very like, you know, some of us aren't musical. You can't follow the beat. So then it's like, okay, it's 8 on this side, 8 on that side. That's all I have to remember. And then with Jess, it's more like, I always say that's like I'm like a jola. I love to dance. And like if I could be clubbing in my 60s, I would be clubbing. I don't do that anymore. Just go to Jess's class. It's like a vibe. There's music. I'm dancing. There's girls around. It's like there's girls around me.
I'm like that too, because I don't go out. But this is my outlet. And also, I'm very passionate about engaging the brain during the class. So when you learn choreography, even if it's just an 8-step flow of a movement, your mind-body connection is heightened to such a greater degree, and you forget about everything else. Whatever you came into the class with, you can't think about whatever's going on in your life, because you actually have to remember this transition and what comes next. And I think that is so powerful, and I love sharing that with other people. And, you know, we spoke briefly earlier about how Pilates has become this trend. But when we started the studio, when Lisa started in Cape Town, there was no one doing Pilates to music in Cape Town.
Oh, really?
Lisa,
is it not supposed to be to music?
No. That Lisa pioneered that in Cape Town, first of all.
Yeah, I did.
Second of all, people were kind of getting onto the reformer train. They were, you know, they'd heard about it. It was big in the States, and it started to filter through. But no one wanted to do mat Pilates.
No one. And look at the classes now.
Lisa did not have one client in her mat Pilates classes. People thought of it as boring. They didn't realize it was done to music or could be done to music. They thought they would be lying there staring at the ceiling, counting the tiles.
Just doing breathing.
Just doing deep breathing.
Actually, I also thought Pilates was breathing more than anything else.
So and then mat Pilates, to see how that has grown. I mean, obviously the Reformer, the Cadillac, it's also exciting and incredible. But, you know, we are both so passionate about mat Pilates. It's our favorite practice. To see how mat Pilates has grown is
But it was
incredible.
frustrating in the beginning, because I really believed in it, because I used to teach group classes in Port Elizabeth, in Gqeberha. So it was like, it was there, and then suddenly I came here, no one wanted to do it in Cape Town.
So what was everyone doing?
Everyone was doing
yoga.
And yoga, and they wanted to do privates.
Okay.
Private reformer. People weren't that big on group classes for Pilates.
I started with you as my private reformer instructor.
Yeah.
And I was pregnant, actually.
Yes.
I remember Jess reached out to me during
Yes.
COVID, which
Yeah.
was when you guys started going online.
Yes.
And you offered free classes to people just to get
Yes.
the buzz going. And I
Yeah.
think you just rebranded.
Exactly,
But you
we
weren't
had,
even
yes.
able to lean into the rebrand yet.
No.
eh?
Yeah, we didn't have the money to, you know,
Yeah.
so everything is bootstrapped. We don't have
Yeah.
investment and we've never taken on debt. So it's literally all just
You've never taken
profit.
on debt or
No.
investment. Wow. So you basically take your capital and
Yeah.
you reinject
We
it.
put it back in. Yeah.
Everything
Wow,
goes
guys,
back into
that's
the business.
incredible. You should be so proud of yourself. That's my biggest thing with running a business is cash flow. I'm terrible at cash flow.
Cash flow
actually, my
management
sister's
is
my
everything.
business partner now because
Yeah.
she studied what
Good,
you studied.
exactly, yeah.
I'm like, didn't you do this? You need to help me
Yes.
because I have all the ideas, but you have to
Yeah.
fund your ideas.
Yes.
So what are some of the sacrifices you had to make from a financial perspective to afford to inject your money into?
Well, I mean, we had to, Jess had my old car.
I lived with my mom until I was 27 years old.
Because
in a flat,
accommodation
Yeah.
is too expensive.
together.
Yeah.
In a
So
flat,
Jess lived with me. She thought when she was coming here to study, she thought she was going to have her own apartment.
Oh, shame,
and then I was
Jess.
like, I'm sorry, but you're not going to. We can't afford that.
Yeah.
So she was horrified that she would still have to live with me. But then she looked around and it's what a lot of people do in Cape Town.
Yeah.
A lot of people still live with their parents.
Yeah.
But then as she got older, she was like, sure, I'm 27. I'm still with you.
I know you didn't want to move out. Lisa probably kicked you out. She's like, get
we
your own
came
life.
to a mutual understanding. And you know what? I think it's better for our business.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that we're not, constantly with each
Working.
other. And
So that was one of the trade-offs that we couldn't afford to get. Everything was going to the business, and then she inherited my old car.
Yeah.
And then the handbrake wasn't 100%, and it was manual.
Oh,
so
wow.
she wouldn't drive up hills.
I couldn't drive
We would-
anywhere
Oh,
when there
and
was
in
a
Cape
hill.
Town, there are loads of hills.
The one time we were together and we were up this big hill and we both got out the car and we were like, it was rush hour traffic. We were fresh from PE. Remember?
I burnt out the clutch.
She burnt out the clutch. We got out, some guy on a motorbike rode up and he said, do you ladies need help? And we were like, I'm too scared I think the car's going to roll into the car behind me. We were on this hill, rush hour traffic.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
guy helped us and he just revved it up and he got it. But that's the car she had until last Friday.
Oh,
where I bought
jeez.
her another car. Finally, a pre-owned.
Congratulations.
Technically, you did not buy me a
It's
car.
okay, the business.
We bought the
But
car.
business, it's from the business.
Yeah.
But I got it for her and I surprised her.
Yeah.
Because she's been driving this old car for years now.
Yeah, because people see the success of the brand. Obviously, it's gorgeous. It's pink. It's
But
got
our
the
life
whole
is
vibe.
simple.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
I like about you guys. It's actually so true.
Yeah.
You keep it simple, and you're not overspending. And I
Yes.
think oftentimes we want to
Yeah.
own businesses sometimes just to own them and to have the glory of
Yeah.
like the BMW
Yeah.
and the beautiful house. But there's the
Yeah.
grind and the sacrifice that
Yeah.
comes outside of that. And in
Yeah.
many ways, you sacrifice your own relationship also because.
Yeah.
You do work with your mom and you do
Yes.
work with your daughter. So there's no space really. You don't
Yeah.
get to see you on Sunday just for lunch. It's like,
Yes.
I have to see you on a daily
And when
basis.
when she does come over now, she's like, okay, we're not talking about work.
Yeah, and that's very
We've got to
hard.
be strong with that.
Yes, especially
'Cause
in a
I'll
family
often,
business.
Like at night, and I'll say, oh, and I'm still working. She's like, I can't now. I've got to shut down.
Yeah.
We have to have those boundaries, and I
Yes.
respect that.
And what do you do to sort of recoup? Like you're expelling so much energy into your business and then teaching, and I know that you guys are there for other people, especially Lisa. I notice that people always talk to you after class, and I'm sure they share personal stuff with you, and
Yes.
you're taking on other people's sort of.
When I go home in the afternoons, my phone goes on silent.
Okay.
And I try not to go into social media. So I need to shut down. I'll do a little bit of admin, but I also read. I'm back into my reading, which I really enjoy.
Okay.
So I'm reading again, which I find really helps me. I like swimming in the sea. I like walks on the beach and spending time with my dog.
Yeah.
He really gives me a lot of joy. So, yeah.
That's how you recover from your day. And for you, Jess?
I take naps wherever possible.
I also
Okay,
take naps.
okay.
Very
Sleep
important.
for me is everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sleep hygiene, I'm really passionate about it. I love spending time with my boyfriend. I'm obsessively in love. And I just
that's
think
so
it's
cute.
like the best thing ever. And I read and I listen to podcasts.
Okay.
I think it takes me to a different world.
I also love a podcast.
And even if it's about business, I think about it in terms of our business, and it takes me out of my day-to-day rut and makes me like dream. And that is so important. And I love listening to other founders' stories and just hearing about other people's experiences. And
Yeah.
so that helps me think about new ideas.
I also know that you taught me about this mustard seed soak
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I've actually
incorporated
incorporated.
that.
Yeah, I've incorporated that once a week for me and for my children.
Yeah.
They also do it just because it relaxes the body.
I love a bath. Jess she's not so big on a bath.
Only when I'm desperate.
Yeah.
The
I
problem is when you go, then a bath
Yes.
feels really boring. Like you need to watch something or listen to something or
You see,
do
I
something.
don't. I'll go and literally, I just can soak and relax, especially in winter when it's cold. It's my
No,
best.
I can't do that. I have to have things on. There needs to be like something going. Like I need to be switched on at all points,
Yes, that's like Jess.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's TikTok. I feel.
Yeah, it's like my attention span.
Yeah.
Yes, it starts to wane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then in closing, I want to ask you guys about the future of the Movement Lab. I know that you just signed a lease to do your retail products. You have like a warehouse that you signed up for. Are you planning to open in other provinces, do you think?
I'll let you answer that. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
The long-term
With that.
plan is definitely to expand to other provinces, specifically Joburg.
Yeah.
That's the dream. And it's something we've
a
wanted
big
to
demand
do
there.
for years. We know we have an incredible community there because our biggest sign-ups on our on-demand app are from Joburg.
Okay.
So we have hundreds of clients who work out with us every single day online on our app. And it would be so wonderful for them to have a studio to be able to go into. However, in the next year, that is not where we are going to grow. We are going to be growing in Cape Town. So we're opening another studio. Our next studio, we know where it's going to be. It will be in Cape Town. And that's because
Are we allowed to say where or not?
Not yet.
When is it opening?
When is in November.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, you can't say when.
Yeah,
Okay.
not yet.
I'm stopping it.
Yes.
It's on embargo.
Thank you.
I find it hard to keep secrets.
Yeah, me too.
But because at this stage we are so hands-on and we haven't yet developed the systems and processes in order to make it more remote,
So one of you would have to move then.
Exactly. I would probably move there for 6 to 8 months in the initial setup period, and that's not right for me right now. But this Cape Town location is incredible, and it's going to work really well for our clients who are already our clients, and it will open up a new market too. So we're very excited about that, growing Reformer, Cadillac, mat and bar. So it will have our full offering as well as courses.
Teacher
which will
training
be
will
amazing.
also happen there.
Oh, that's really cool.
Not just Sea Point.
Yeah, I hope it's for the listeners. I actually hope it's in the northern suburbs because I know that there's so many people who want to go on that
yes.
side and they don't have any options
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
But I think you'll get there.
Definitely.
Which is great.
Yeah,
and then on the retail side, you're going to keep going with selling your equipment and
Yes, exactly. So
small
we've
props.
got a lot of growth in terms of small props and merchandise and really cultivating the brand and how that brand shows up every day in people's lives.
Okay.
Because our clients, we have hundreds of people who join our studios every day. And so to create thoughtful products that are better quality than you're currently able to get. And that's something that we've really focused on in the last year is taking our products that we currently offer and perfecting them.
Yeah.
So we've worked on redoing the design, redoing the packaging, decreasing the plastic, decreasing the waste. And so we're launching a new line in the next few months. And we are so proud of the products and we've been sampling them and testing them. And you're very excited for everyone
I love
to
a
feel
product
them.
business.
Yes.
I just feel like when you can touch something, it feels good, you know?
Yes.
It's the same as uplifting people's lives, which is what you do with the courses. You're changing people's lives. And then with the product as well, you feel like you can touch it. It's
Yes.
tangible.
It's tangible, exactly.
Yeah.
And the best thing about the products is that they're going to be tested by hundreds of clients every day. Our products that we bring into our studios get used every single day by hundreds of people. And so if there's something wrong with the product, you
You'll know.
realize immediately.
Yeah.
And conversely, when it's good and it's working for that many people at that pace, at that level, you know you've got a really good
Yeah.
product.
So what's been your worst sort of product launch now in the past few years that you felt like this you weren't happy with it, and then how did you improve that?
So our socks, I'm super proud of our socks. They're pure organic cotton. However, I am not a designer.
Okay.
And so I sampled the socks off my feet.
Okay.
Which, I thought like that's a good way to do it. And as you know, in any small business, minimum order quantities are a thing.
Yeah.
Our socks have silicone nubs on them. Unfortunately, we can't do that locally. So our socks get made by our supplier in China. And I, when doing the sizing, used my foot to sample the size of
Size
five.
7.
Okay. Wow. Just a common size.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of the minimum order quantities, we thought, no, one size fits all.
Yeah.
We can't do multiple.
Oh, so they're all size 7,
Yes.
Jess?
We can't do multiple SKUs. So I thought, well, size
So these
7,
clients with
it will
little
fit
feet come in.
people who are smaller.
You know what's
people
funny?
who
I
are
was
bigger.
about to wear my socks today, and then I realized they're peeking out of my shoes, so I took them off.
Yes. So exactly. So I realized that if you're going to go one size fits all, you actually have to think a little bit more about the size that you invest in. So we completely have redone the sizing, and we're launching lines that will come out in a smaller size and a larger size.
That's nice.
But when we first started doing it, we didn't have the capital to do that because our minimum order quantities are huge because everything is customized. The cotton that we use is customized, the nubs, the style, and so our Pilates socks range will increase hugely. There will be size options, different styles, such gorgeous, cute styles that you want to wear. They're so beautiful.
But we sold them all, but
they've sold out now.
The odd person came in and said they were a bit big, So
Well, at least you got the feedback. I always feel like if someone's willing to tell you you're doing something wrong, that's the best thing.
Yes.
That's like, then I know I'm running a good business when I know that people are saying like, oh, I love that pants, but it's too small for me or whatever. That's good feedback.
Yes,
you don't want people to just be quiet and like bad in the streets. That's the worst.
We appreciate feedback and we really take it to heart. And I knew immediately the first time I got that feedback, and I saw it on clients, that it would ride up the back of their heel.
Yeah.
And we spoke to our suppliers immediately. And now we also have a freelance designer who has helped so much just with tweaking our products, with certain things like everyone buys our towels, and our towels are great. Our towels are going to be
even better,
20 times better. But a lot of people buy the same towels, and then like, how do you know which one is yours when you leave it at the studio? So now we have little customized tags on each towel that says this towel belongs to, and you can just take a permanent marker and
write your name.
It's such a small thing, but it does make a difference. And we've changed the fabric so it's thicker, it's weightier, it won't pull up on your mat. So I'm really optimizing every single product and making sure that it's thoughtfully designed.
And what's your easiest thing that you in your business that's just like a no-brainer? It works, whether it's like a weight or like whatever. You just did it and it worked immediately. You didn't have to think about it.
I don't know. What do you
I
think?
would say the towels.
Yeah, even the towels were, remember the grippies initially weren't right. But that was easier than the socks, I think.
I guess you could say nothing comes easily.
Okay.
We've had challenges with all of it.
No, I like that.
The grippies weren't right in the beginning. I remember that.
Nothing has been perfect from first try. With everything we have iterated, we've learned what works with tote bags, what works with towels, what works with socks, what works with latex bands. And so we are always improving. With every drop, with every new shipment we get in, there is something we've improved on, and with every shipment that comes in, there's a new problem that we aim to
stunning.
solve.
I love that.
I know,
love a good challenge.
Yes,
just to keep
exactly.
it spicy.
It's not like it just comes in and it's all perfect, It's definitely not.
Guys, can you please plug yourself? Go off. Let us know. Where can we find you? Where can we find the prices of packages? Because people always ask me that. Where can we find the studio? Where can we find you if we're not in South Africa?
Okay, well, I'll say about the two studios. We've got one in Main Road, Sea Point, and the other one is in Claremont. So hopefully you can join us. And we also we have our on-demand app as well, which is also an option.
So we have two apps on the App Store and Google Play Store. The one is the Movement Lab Bookings. If you're interested in in-studio classes, the Movement Lab Bookings is what you're looking for to attend those classes Lisa spoke of. And then if you are not in Cape Town or can't access our Sea Point or Claremont studios, TML On Demand, the Movement Lab On Demand. It's our on-demand app. It's 5 on-demand classes a week. We have over 400 workouts that you can do, from 10-minute classes to 60-minute classes, from prop-free, prenatal, beginner, intermediate, advanced. We have absolutely every type of workout you can think of, and with some of our most popular instructors. So there will definitely be something for you there.
And it's a 7-day free trial, I think, isn't it?
There's a 7-day free trial.
Yes,
and if
so
you go to
good.
themovementlab.co.za, you can find out all about us, and you can also shop all our retail goods that will hopefully have a lot more products by the time this drops.
And the courses and all the information.
All of that's also on the website.
All on the website. So.
Exactly.
And then Jess, plug your TikTok, which you work so hard on. I love your TikTok.
We're getting there. Shout out to Nicole who helps us with TikTok.
Yes.
Our team is also growing, which is crazy to think. Like, it literally used to be us two doing all the admin. Now we have Gabe, Nandi, Nicole, Simone. We have incredible help behind the scenes that a lot of people don't get to see, and we're going to be sharing a lot more of that on TikTok and Instagram. But TikTok and Instagram is both the Movement Lab _SA, and I hope we can share more behind the scenes brand building in the next year.
Yay. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. show.
Thanks,
we love you,
Aisha.
and I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
see you in my next workout.
Thank you.
We love you.
We
Thank
love
you,
you too.
Aisha.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching today. We were so excited to have Jess and Lisa with us. You can find all the information Jess and Lisa told you about in the show notes. So that's their website, their Instagram, and their TikTok. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Bake the Podcast, and then follow us on Instagram as well. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, please review us, give us 5 stars, and don't forget to subscribe to the show. See you soon.